You know, forgive me that he and I both have been getting some questions about this lately, and I don't even remember talking to him almost at all when we shoot, other than talking about other things. What have you read, what have you seen, and so forth. But between takes, it's, if anything, monosyllables and furtive gestures.
Yeah, as somebody who was there watching it, it was almost telepathic. Like, you would start to say something, if you a little more, yeah, and then if you could, like you picture some movie track. It was kind of wondrous.
And it's so nice. It's just so pleasant to have an actor you don't have to direct very much. It's so nice. I mean, that old, 90% of that's for a low. 90% of directing is casting.
Yeah.
If you cast the right people, the best director is the inactive director. He just doesn't have to say anything except louder, softer, faster, slower.
Well, let's talk more about that actually, because this is a movie that really is about family, and it's a three-person family who are not blood related, but Divine Joy Randolph. I mean, you cast her. She is so exuberant, and we've seen her in other movies, but you cast her knowing that she was going to have to underplay a lot of her natural exuberance, and to deliver this grieved but also very likable woman. Did you talk with her a lot about the part about Mary, or?
Well, not to take your question too literally, but I did not have a fear or an apprehension that I would have to tell her to tamp it down or that something would be over the top. Like Paul, she's a classically trained actress from Yale Drama School. And it's just that these actors who find themselves adept at comedy get work in comedy. We come to associate them with comedy. But underneath they have a perfectly well, developed dramatic sensibility and chops. Indeed, in our first Zoom meeting, Divine, I think I told you this, she compared the screenplay to Chekhov. Whether or not that's true, I was flattered. And I appreciated the reference. So, I don't know, I just thought you could do it. And I directed her, but I don't remember ever having to say, that was over the top or bring it down or something. I think she pretty much knew what to do.
Well, obviously, she's extraordinary, and people are taking notice of that big time. She's pretty much not lost any awards so far in the Critics Awards that have come out.
And I feared a little bit because it's, people say, well, it's a three-hander. Well, it's almost a three-hander. It's like a 2.75-hander. She doesn't really have as much screen time or as much, I don't like this word, arc as the other ones have. So I'm so glad that what we did concoct for her and then what she brought to it performance-wise is really being very richly received. It's very gratifying.
And it is so important that at the end she is there to hold Angus's hand.
Yeah.
Right.
Crucially important. Yeah. I mean, I based the character on my mom, and I had this incredibly close relationship with my mom, who was I come from a lower middle class family. Mom was a nurse, and I kind of did this thought experiment. She was totally dedicated to me growing up in a single parent household, and I kind of thought, okay, what if she lost me? What would that look like? And Devon just understood all of it, the historical context for a young black man at that time, like how as a mother, how she would feel. I mean, and I think Alexander's right. I mean, there are these moments like the completely silent scene with the hat box, I mean, I wrote that because I had confidence that, and we were so blessed and so lucky to have her because she just plays that silent scene with her sister with such incredible gravitas, but also there's this element of hope and this beautiful kind of like catharsis between them at the end. She's just a brilliant actress, a brilliant actor.
And of course, also to ask about Dominic Sessa. 800 actors were looked at by your casting director. You looked at, I guess, about 50 or 60 or 70. He'd never been in front of a camera lens before.
But he had so Dominic Sessa, who plays Angus Tully, was, we found him at Deerfield Academy after, as he says, we combed through 800 emails or auditions from pros to non-pros. We didn't find anything. We found some of the other parts, but not him. And then we found, called up the drama teacher at Deerfield Academy, and there he was.
Wow.
He was a senior at Deerfield playing a junior at essentially Deerfield is really something. And I've had pretty good actors in their teens before you, like Reese Witherspoon and Shailene Woodley, but they already had a lot of experience. This kid had only done plays and has a lot of natural talent, I'll say that much. And talent for film acting. Like he not just acting like on stage and hamming it up, but he, once he learned what film acting was, and like don't act, just be, just behave, he got it.
And I've heard you say, of course, this is not to diminish his performance, but his hair actually.
A big part of why he was cast. Absolutely, because then with that hair, I'm like rooting for him in the auditions. He probably did about 8 auditions before I pulled the trigger on him.
This goes to you as a director too, because I remember that process, and you really got in there. I mean, you did an incredible job with him. I mean, with all of them, but I mean, you really did. You know,
It was a team effort.
And Paul, but you.
But Susan Shopmaker, the casting director, also whooped him upside the head to get him to break some of his, theater habits to get to the film actor underneath. And toward the end, we roped in Paul Giamatti because we'd sent him tape, and he was rooting for God.
I do think
he saw something inside
the alacrity with which he got there is a testament to you and your genius as director. I really do.
Oh, shucks.
It's true. It's just true.
Yeah, but it's a team effort.
Well, but something else we could mention that does relate to the actors a little bit is that this was filmed all on location. There are no sets in this entire movie. That must have been important somehow for someone like Dominic, so he's not walking on to a really unfamiliar.
Not just for him, but for all the actors and for the director. Location, 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 just like the restaurant business. You feel it. I mean, anything you can have that helps the actor feel like that character. One of the big things is the environment. I mean, there's a very important discussion that takes place between production design, which includes location scouting, production design, and acting.
And I do want to get technical and mention the name Eigil Brill.
Eigil Brill,
he's a cinematographer.
The Dane, yes.
Because this not only is set in 1971 at the end, but it feels like it was a movie from that year. Hal Ashby was doing Harold and Maude around that time.
And The Landlord.
The Landlord. That was deliberate on your part, I assume. I mean, I just wanted, forgive me, I just wanted
you
to
stumbled into it. Yeah, of course. With the credits at the beginning and everything, yeah, that was a little, funny parlor trick, trying to pull off. Well, what if it looks like it was made 19? Now, I'm not the first one to try that. Bogdanovich did it to some degree with Paper Moon. There was an English film 5 or 6 years ago, lesser known, called Bait, where a fellow made a film that looks almost exactly like, actually not almost, exactly like a movie made in 1964, say. So I'm not the first one to try it, but, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
So, I mean, results, it's just so great to watch.
Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit more about David, your role? You were on the set?
Yeah.
And how important was that? Maybe you can both discuss having the writer there.
For me, it was just, he's an auteur, so my goal was like, I wrote the screenplay, but my goal was to assist him in whatever way I could, to sort of say like, if there's a moment, just gently whisper like, hey, maybe this. Remember one thing we talked about, just a little thing, was like the size of the picture of Curtis. And we talked about, there's originally a very large picture of Curtis, and I kind of stepped aside and was like, I don't think he gets that much respect. I think these people are doing this as almost like a courtesy. So the picture became a lot smaller.